Hey everybody, welcome to Realty Check. I'm your host Trish Williams and thank you for joining us today. Hey, before we get started on our show, I want to remind you guys, if you're watching the show, you're listening to us on iTunes, you're tuning in through any of the various sources that we're on, please take a minute to review us, to drop some comments in there. Let us know what you think of the show. Let us know what we can do to improve it. And also, please share it. Share it with your friends. Share it on your timeline. Let people know we're out there. We're trying to increase our audience. And the more reviews we get, the more shares we get, the more traction that this show's having, the better guests, the better content that we're going to be able to provide to you. And what I'm starting right now is going to be posting about our upcoming guest and leaving an opportunity for all of you watchers out there to put your questions that you would like our guests to answer. So please take a minute, comment on those posts when I put them out there, and let us know what you guys want to hear, because I want to definitely provide value to you that is helpful in your real estate activities and your real estate goals. I want to make sure that the content that we're providing is something that you see as valuable. So on that note, let's bring in our guest today. We have a professional home inspector, Jason with Green Tech Home Inspections. Jason, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for being here today. So Jason, let's start off with the who, what, where, and why. So who are you?
Jason Rivera. I was born and raised in Vegas.
Okay.
Worked construction for 27 years and then started home inspections with my father back in the early 90s or late 90s.
Okay. And what's the name of your company, Jason?
Green Tech Home Inspections.
Okay, great. And for your home inspection company, what made you want to do home inspections? What made you want to be a home inspector?
After working with my father for years, I realized that it was a little bit better than construction. I could make my own schedule at the time, and the opportunities were endless. I was able to go in and kind of educate people on homes, how they work, all the mechanics of the home, stuff like that. And I was able to educate them on issues that they should look forward to in the future, or little things that happen at the time.
This is very important, Jason. And the reason why, I'm a realtor, as you all know. So I've been in a situation before where we've had a buyer get a home inspector that, they found online. You never know what you're going to get, right?
Right.
So this buyer says, oh, no, we don't need any recommendations. We're just going to find a home inspector, which is all good. You guys are most definitely, in any case, anytime you purchase a home, you're welcome to choose who you want to go with, and I will never stand in the way of that.
Correct.
But we never know what we're going to get.
No.
So I've had situations where I've been there at a home inspection with a home inspector that knows nothing about homes. Nothing. Like nothing. I'm like, how did you even get a license to do this? So I think it's very important out of a home inspector to have some kind of knowledge of the basic components of a home.
Exactly.
Maybe somebody that owns a home, that's done things to your home, that knows kind of the logistics of what's going on here. I think that's very important. Do you not agree?
I think so. Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I've run across that multiple times. So.
Yeah, you would be surprised out there. I was shocked the first time I seen it happen. I was actually in a home inspection with an inspector that asked me some silly question about an air filter. And I was like, it's an air filter. Like, do you not know what an air filter is or the purpose of it? Like, what's going on here?
Yes.
So, yeah, and I usually am always there at the home inspections,
yes,
if my buyers are there, and I'm there to answer questions. So I do get to see things that are not always what I think they should be. So anyways, Jason, why is it important for a buyer to have a home inspection when they're purchasing a home?
Well, I get asked this question all the time. The funny thing is they say, I know about homes, I do this and that, but the things that they don't do is they don't look under sinks. They don't check the outlets. They're basically doing a walkthrough on their homes. Even though they know a little bit about homes, they think they know, what to look for. They don't get in an attic. They have no idea what the trusses look like, the sheathing. So there's a lot of different things that they're not looking for. So that's our job to go in and point out this outlet isn't working or this is wired incorrectly. Heating and air conditioning is not working properly. You know, there's certain different things that we look for to, you know, give them the knowledge to at least get a professional in certain fields to come in and, you know, inspect it further.
Okay. So, for instance, if say that you're doing a home inspection on a home, and this comes up often in home inspections, it's very common. Splits on the AC are not what they're supposed to be, right?
Yes, that's a very common question.
Very common question, because you take the temperature of those splits and make sure that they're within a reasonable range.
Yes.
So you'll notify them that the splits. Does that mean, because you said that the AC is broken?
No.
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 What does it mean?
It just means that it's not working correctly. So if the split's a little low, it may be low on Freon or the newer gases that they're using and stuff like that. If it's higher, sometimes the pressures could be too high to where the unit's working too hard and it needs to let a little bit out. And this is the way it's been explained to me through my AC guys. So we go in and we make sure that the splits are, you know, because we shoot the registers and then we shoot the return. And basically it's somewhere between, the split difference should be between 16 and 22. And everybody has their own little split difference, but that's what I go by from what I've been told.
Okay.
And usually if it's within that, we say, you know, get it, you know, it's working properly.
Okay.
If it's a little low and the unit looks good and the contact points, capacitor, and the wiring is all looks good, then we will let them know, you know, you probably just need to have it tuned up.
Right.
They need just to service the unit and make sure everything's working properly.
So what I was getting at here is when something's called on the home inspection report, you're basically showing indicators of something that may be an issue. But at that point, it's up to the buyer, the seller, or even a request from the buyer to the seller. However, us realtors will work on negotiating that for you. Don't worry about that part. But it's up to us to get a professional in whatever field that is in there to evaluate the system, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Because we are visual and we do test everything, but we don't it's not an invasive test where we go into the components and, you know, so that's when you need to call them up, get it checked. So.
So do you open walls? Do you lift up flooring?
We
you don't
do
pull
not.
back the carpet
No,
to see
we've
what's
been asked,
going on
We've been asked
underneath?
multiple times, but no, we do not.
Yeah.
We have certain cameras and equipment that we can use to test certain things, but we don't pull anything back or cut any walls.
Good. And because you're not allowed to cause damage to a home that the buyer doesn't own,
No, my
correct?
insurance would frown on that.
Yeah, exactly. Because one thing that you have to remember is that when you're doing a home inspection, when you're having a home inspection performed, the buyer doesn't own the home yet. So it's still the seller's home. We still can't do damage to the home. We still cannot tear the home apart. So the home inspector is limited on things that you can do.
Exactly.
Now, here in Vegas, what are common things that you run into on home inspections? Common issues?
Common issues are, a lot of people think that just because the home is older, that it should have everything that the newer homes have. But mostly it's on the newer homes, there's a lot of issues on the newer homes that we are constantly finding, like missing insulation, missing wires to jacuzzi tubs. I mean, it's constant with that. When it comes to the older homes, sometimes you'll find that the panel is taken off the unit inside the attic, exposing all the components and stuff that need to be put back on. Most of the time, it's houses that have been remodeled that they haven't wired correctly. DIY projects.
DIY projects are
Love
fun.
them. So those always look great inside the main panel.
Whenever I go to those, I'm like, oh no.
Yes.
Burn it down.
Yeah. Start over.
Start over. Yeah. That's definitely.
But no, that's most of the time it's electrical. A lot of things when people put in a new dishwasher, they forget to plumb it correctly. Or if they put in a new sink, they're putting in the corrugated piping, which is totally improper. So.
Right. One of the things that I think I see often on a report also is that the air gap on the dishwasher, or it's not actually on the dishwasher. So what is an air gap? Let me tell you guys this. This is so interesting to me because before I ever owned a home, I think every home I ever lived in, dishwasher runs, and then there's that little metal thingy that sticks up next to the sink. I don't know what to call it, the thingy. That's called an air gap. I've learned this. And every time when the dishwasher ran, water would pour out of there. And I always thought that was completely normal until I met with a few inspectors and found out that's not normal. We need to get that fixed. If that's happening in your home, get it fixed. If you're going to sell your home, get it fixed first.
Yes.
It's good. Good thing to get that addressed ahead of time, because that is actually a malfunction. The water that comes out of that gap is an indicator that it's not functioning right, correct?
Well, what happens is the air gap gets plugged, so now all the water's coming out of it instead of going back into the disposal. So I actually did an inspection 2 or 3 days ago where it was happening. The buyers were there, and I was taking a picture of it, and they said, "What's wrong with it?" And I said, "The water's not supposed to come out of there. It's supposed to go into disposal." And he looked at his wife and said, "Oh, we better fix ours before we put it on the market."
Right, because everybody, and I'm sure I can't be the only person that thought that. I always thought that was normal. Like,
No.
I swear, I think every house I ever lived in had that happening.
That's
so I was
funny.
like, wow, okay. Yeah, when I was told that it was not normal, I was so shocked. So, good thing to know, just little, the more you know, right there.
Yes.
That is another very common thing that we run into. Now, we talked a little bit about, I said a few minutes ago, burn it down. So there's times that a home inspection would make the buyers decide they didn't want to move forward, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So there are times where something is so bad and would be such an issue to fix, such a big deal, cost so much money, or be so invasive to actually attempt to correct.
Or even health and safety issues.
Health and safety issues where buyers will decide not to move forward.
Correct.
So in that case, the home inspection was money well spent.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Now, have you ever, I think one of the most, another very common misconception I hear from buyers and sellers is, did it pass or fail the inspection? Is there a pass or fail?
There is no pass or fail.
There's no pass or fail?
No, there's no pass or fail. I get that question quite often, and it's kind of comical. And I tell them, it's not, this isn't a pass or fail. It's just to point out the items in the home that need addressed before you move in or before you move forward, just so health and safety wise, moisture issues, electrical issues can be repaired.
Yeah. Things that need to be addressed. It's kind of a punch list, right?
It basically is a punch list.
Now, I've never seen, never, ever, ever yet in my career, a home inspection that had 0 items. Have you ever had a home inspection that had 0 items?
I've had 2 in the last 12 years.
Are you serious?
2, but I tell you what, I was even looking for cracks on the side of the house. I was looking, these people and the house is only 2 or 3 years old.
Okay.
But I also did one yesterday that was 2 or 3 years old that was completely trashed. So, I mean, it's not the age of the home, it's the people that live there, how they take care of it, if they maintain everything that they're supposed to do. Most of the time you can have a well house, but I've only had that twice 2 or 3 times in the last 12 years.
Right. And one thing I tell buyers is always expect something. Mm-hmm. Expect something on that list. Expect a punch list. It's not drastic. It's not a big deal. We just want to make sure there's nothing major. We want to make sure there's nothing that says, I don't want this house. And if there is something big, it's a great thing you find it. We can discuss with the sellers, try to come to resolution to get that corrected before you actually purchase the home, before you move forward with the purchase. But that's why things are so important to see. But I always will tell people, expect a list. There's going to be a list, even on brand new homes. Let's talk about brand new home inspections. So have you ever inspected a brand new home?
We do it quite often. And I do recommend it to anybody who's buying one. I know that, we dealt with it. The builder does not want us there. And they try to make it as hard as possible for us to be able to come on the property.
They try to create obstacles.
Yes.
That is very true.
But I've done multiple homes where they forgot the insulation, like I was saying. They forgot the electrical to the jacuzzi tub. I've had multiple homes where they were leaking, underneath the sinks. They didn't plumb it properly. I've also had homes where the windows were cracked and the sliders were cracked, and it's just... And they don't want to do anything for it. So
correct.
And then, you've dealt with it.
So getting that home inspection done when you're purchasing a new home can make sure that the builder addresses all those items prior to you taking ownership of it, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is a very important thing, and buyers often don't know that that's an option. However, if you have a realtor representing you in the purchase of the home, you can definitely bring that up. You can opt in to have it done if you would like to have it done. So
Yes.
that is a very good thing.
That's one thing we do at Green Tech. We offer a mechanical inspection. So when you first move into the house, we'll come in and check all the major mechanics of the home, make sure everything's working properly. And then, and that's a discounted price. That way, when you hit that 10 or 11 month mark, and you want to get the warranty inspection, then we'll come back and do a full inspection on the house so that if everything's working properly, nothing's broke, everything gets loose and stuff, time like that.
Yeah, because with most builders, you get a 1 year bumper to bumper,
Yep.
door to door warranty that covers basically anything.
Exactly.
So if you're going to have that option, you might as well take advantage of it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, great. And so another thing that I know you guys hate to hear this word, but I'm going to bring up the big M word. Okay. Another thing that I guess we run into in Vegas, it is a common issue in Vegas.
It can be, yes.
Mold does grow here. We're not allowed to say this. No, we are allowed to say this. It does. There are what do you call them? Fungal growth, whatever they're called, mold.
Microbial growth.
Yes, that grows in Vegas. And this is not something that you test on a regular inspection, right? You don't go into an inspection and have a mold test, or do you?
No, we don't.
Let's talk about what happens with that.
There is a few companies that I know that they actually are mold certified, and and I can call them if they need more of if they want to do testing on if we see the black substance.
Black substance. That's how it always shows on the report. Black substance.
So there's a couple of companies that I'll refer people to see if they want to have it tested. A lot of people think, like water heaters, they do a lot of damage if there's no pan. And if they changed them out and it's on the wall, most of the time it goes dormant. It is active. If you have an active leak, it's always growing, but you can have it addressed and repaired. It could be a huge problem, but it could be remedied pretty simple.
It can be a huge problem if it's left unaddressed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the big deal. It's, if it's left unaddressed, there's moisture, it's definitely going to grow. It is a fungus. So that's definitely an issue. Now, when a buyer is doing a home inspection, there's no need, or there's usually not a need for them to say like, oh, I'm going to order a mold inspection if there's no indicators of anything that would cause anything like that. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
And a lot of people will. They ask me what I recommend or what I think, and if I really don't see anything, I don't really want them to waste the money to do it.
Yeah.
If we don't see anything, I just try to save them as much money as possible without going out and getting more stuff done. I mean, a lot of people from back east want their sewers cambered. And then you get a lot of people from like California or other places that there's always moisture and they're used to the mold, so they see the mold and they're like, oh, that's no big deal. We see worse than we're
Really?
Yeah.
Is it common in California?
It's common in wet areas. That's what I've been told. I've never lived
You
there,
know what? That's
but I've been
true.
told that.
Whenever I've stayed in like a house like near the beach or whatever, or like whatever, they always have that like
You'll see moss on the side or somewhere else, but
that moisture smell in them.
Right.
It's when you walk in those houses and you smell that, you're like, get out of this one.
Yep.
No,
I should be wearing a mask.
Yeah, most definitely. So yeah, buyers, of course, when you're purchasing a home, you have the right or the option to order any inspection you want. You can order 20 different types of inspections if you want to. It's always up to you. But a lot of times the buyers wouldn't proceed with ordering that unless the home inspection were to uncover something that would show that you need to look further into it, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so do you agree with that?
I do agree, because I mean, like I was saying before, if we don't see anything, we don't see any moisture at all on the walls or anywhere in the outside, there's really no reason to order one. Okay. I mean, there is people that want it, but you can't talk them out of it.
Right. So another thing that I guess is a big thing that people are always scared of is cracked foundations.
Yes. Cracked foundations.
So how do you look for something like that?
A lot of the times you could feel it. So if there's carpet in the house, sometimes it's a little harder. You will feel the difference when you're walking, and we felt it a lot, mostly in the older homes. because the foundations weren't compacted properly or issues like that. With the newer homes, with the post-tension floors, 90% of the time you're not going to ever feel anything. But it's mostly in the older homes. Cracked foundations, if we see it or feel it, or if there's something visible on the exterior of the home, we'll recommend an engineer or a contractor to come out and further verify that there is no structural damage. A lot of times you'll see foundations that are cracked and kind of like lifted a little bit, but there will be no indication on the walls, the windows, the doors, or anything like that. So most of the time it could, all floors crack. They're concrete.
Cracks.
Exactly. Yeah.
So just because you see a small crack in the floor, or even like a small hairline crack in the wall, or common, I see them a lot in ceilings where the drywall shifts.
Yes.
That doesn't mean you have a cracked foundation.
No. And most of the time, if you see the cracks in the ceiling, it's just from expansion or traction. It tears the tape, and you just have a painter come in and fix it.
Right.
That's most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time.
Yes.
So what are things, if you do see these cracking areas around your house, and you see them multiple places, you see them around the windows, around the doors, around everywhere, and outside, and that little slab that the house is on, and these cracks just all lined together, is that something you should be concerned about?
That's something you should be concerned about.
Okay.
Yeah, and that you definitely want to call a contractor and find out what exactly they need to do to remedy this issue. And that when you see cracks on the inside and the outside, a lot of times, like you're saying too, you'll see it on one side of the door, but you look in the closet, like in a bedroom, and there'll be nothing at all.
Yeah.
So
it's
sometimes
not transferring.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and that's what I've always heard too. If it's transferring, it's something you should be concerned about.
Definitely.
But if it's not transferring, it's probably not an issue.
And
but
like around windows and doors, if you go to shut them and you're getting a little blockage from the door casing, there's an issue.
There's something shifting.
Yes.
Yeah, most definitely. You mentioned post-tension slabs. I think that's a very interesting subject too.
Yes.
So a lot of the newer homes, do you know when they start doing post-tension slabs in homes?
I knew you were asking that
Roundabout.
question.
Did you know I was going to ask that? How'd you know?
It's just something that always gets brought up.
Yeah.
And I'm not exactly certain. I know
Okay.
it was early 2000s.
All right.
But I know that they waived it in parts of Green Valley because the foundations, the ground is so hard out there that the contractor actually got an engineer out there and they waived it because they are more expensive.
Right.
So, but it was early 2000s, maybe late 90s when they actually started using it.
And what is it?
So post-tension, so that's kind of fun. It's fun to explain. So they get the foundation set, they set the rebar, and then they interweave these cables that go through the floor one way, and then they interweave them this way. Well, after the concrete cures, then they tension the cables, tighten up the floor, and it helps the foundation more structurally.
So it moves with the earth.
And you won't, like if an earthquake happens, it won't completely buckle and come out of the ground. It'll basically it'll move a little bit so you'll get the cracks, but it won't completely heave away and lift.
Okay.
So if that's the right termination. The bad thing about it is if you have like a safe or you have anything that you need to drill into the floor, it's not recommended to do it.
Yeah, highly not recommended.
Right.
Because I did, when I first heard about this, I looked up YouTube videos.
Yes.
Don't do that. So yes, you can actually, you can go in, if you drill into a spot and you break one of those.
If you break it, it has the tendency to rip in half and come out of the ground. If
and
you're
tear
anywhere
your
near,
house apart.
tear you apart along with the house.
Your house, everything in its way. Don't drill into your floors if you have a post-tension slab.
Yes.
Now, is there indicators for people to know if they have a post-tension slab, if they had no idea what this is? Because I feel like this is something that builders should be like, have a disclaimer. Hey, by the way, your house has post-tension slabs.
Right.
I've never seen a disclaimer on it, but I always tell people when I see that little stamp what that means.
So you see the stamp in the garages, and usually if it's a two-car garage, they'll have one on each side.
Yeah.
The bad thing is I was told from a new builder last year that they don't have to put that in there. So I've actually done some new homes where I've went to the builder because it's hard to see unless you know what you're looking for. On the sides of the foundation, you'll see little little round spots where they'd capped it off, and then they put the concrete or the slurry over the top, so it's covered all the way around.
Huh.
And I asked the builder why there wasn't a stamp in it, and he told me that they don't have to put the stamp in it if they don't want to, which don't make any sense. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
just
a
put the
liability.
stamp.
It's
Just
a
put the
liability.
stamp. It's so simple.
So-
Stamp the damn thing. Like, what,
Yeah.
what are they doing? That's crazy.
So yes, you should have a stamp in there. If you don't see one, and you think your floor is, I would definitely find out before you start doing any remodeling or any drilling into the floor.
Yeah, no, I think it would be a good rule of thumb for all homeowners to know that if you're going to
Definitely.
drill into your floor, just check it out.
Yes.
Do a little bit extra research, find out if it is post-tension. Let's just prevent an accident from happening,
Exactly.
right? That would make most sense. Now, in closing, before we wrap it up today, I want to give some advice to sellers.
Yes.
So if I was going to be listing a home, or a seller is going to be listing a home, and they want to get their home ready for the inspection, what's a good thing for them to do? Or I think it's a good rule of thumb for a seller to, not everybody wants to do it, not everybody wants to spend extra money. I think it's a good rule of thumb for a seller to have a home inspection before putting the home on the market.
Definitely.
That way you can kind of address all the issues and you have no surprises.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean the buyers don't get to have a home inspection. Of course, they have the right to do whatever they want to do. Not
Yes.
whatever they want to do, but they can order whatever inspections they want during due diligence. But would you recommend that a seller have an inspection before placing the home for sale?
I definitely do, because you guys are on a time crunch. You sign the papers, everything's done. You have to get the inspection done in time. You only have that little bit of due diligence. Well, now you're trying to find somebody to fix all this so you don't have to extend it.
Right.
And we do those quite often. I definitely recommend it to all. I've done probably, I would say 30 to 40 this year. And they're a little discounted because we don't, your buyer's trying to get out of the house. He doesn't want to put that much money into it. So we go in and we'll do, like I said, a mechanical inspection, make sure everything's working properly. That way, when you go in and I would like to make a note of this real quick. If you could have 4 inspections, and all of us are going to find something different.
Yes,
So
they will not all be the same. Don't think
Yes.
that means that nothing's going to get addressed, because
So-
I've noticed that
Yes.
too.
So if we
Yeah.
go in and we do inspection, and before you're set for the listing, we're going to find the major things that you need. When the new inspector comes in to inspect it for the buyers, he is going to find something, because that's our job. So don't think because we didn't find it, we didn't do our job. It's just, we're all going to find something different no matter what it is.
Yes.
But I do highly recommend it. It saves you guys time. It saves them a headache from, oh crap, if I would have known this was happening, we could have had it done.
And how many times well, I guess this would be a question for me. I can't tell you how many times I've seen something that caused an issue, or caused a cancellation, or caused a mid-escrow problem, that if it was addressed ahead of time, it could have just been so easily fixed, so easily
Yes.
taken care of. And sellers, you never want to be surprised after you've moved all your stuff out of your house. You're all ready to get this thing rolling, and then you find out something that you didn't know. You don't always know that there's something going on in your house. Sometimes it takes a home inspection to uncover it. You had no idea you were expecting this, and it's always better to have that up front, understand what you should be expecting up front, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, Jason, how do people reach you? If they want to ask more questions, they need a home inspection, they want to sell their house, they can call me, I can connect them with you, or they can
Definitely.
call you, and how do they reach you?
So our number is on the bottom of the screen.
Okay.
You could also reach by email, Nevadainspector@gmail.com. That's about as easy as you can get.
Yeah.
You can also call me at 702-499-7056. The thing about me is I answer my phone no matter what. I don't care if I'm in an attic or crawl space. I'm answering because I don't like to give up business. And I like to make sure that all the questions are asked. So you feel free to give me a call, email us, the office or I, and we'll take care of you.
Yes. One thing you'll notice about me and all the professionals that I work with is they're all responsive, and
Yes.
I very much demand that. Not demand, but I mean, it's very.
Yes.
I'm a very responsive person. responding to phone calls, to emails, answering questions is a very important thing for me. So I
Definitely.
expect that out of all the professionals I work with. It's very much a standard of service. So you can always expect that. If I'm recommending somebody, you can expect that same standard of service from them.
Definitely.
So you can reach me, Trish Williams team, and you can go on our website, trishwilliamsteam.com. My number's there on the screen. And if you guys are tuning in on Facebook, you know how to reach me on Facebook, of course. And again, like I mentioned earlier today, please share this episode, comment, write us a review, review us either on Facebook, on iTunes, on any of the portals that you might be logging into, and help spread the word that we have this going on, and give us some interaction. Let me know what you guys would like to hear from our guest, and I'll definitely provide. So you guys have a wonderful day out there, and I look forward to talking to you next week and seeing you on the show next Thursday at 9 a.m. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.